You said we would talk about the night to be much remembered.
Yes, I have been so intrigued to know more.
Shall we start?
Okay. The night to be much remembered has a connection to the Passover night that is overlooked by many, or not kept correctly. It comes directly after the Passover evening meal, at midnight. As the Passover starts at the evening of the 14th, a half-hour period. By the time the lamb is cooked it would have been well into the early part of the night. Maybe 9, 10 or 11 at night, as God passed over at midnight, Exodus 12 verse 29. This makes the later part of the night to be much remembered. It is in this night period when Pharaoh tells Moses to take his people and go. Exodus 12 verse 31. As the Israelites left hurriedly into the desert, God watched over them to keep them safe from Egypt, which represents spiritual sin. In Exodus 12 verse 42 we are told that it is a night of solemn observance, and that we are to keep it throughout our generations. In other words, forever. So that we never forget how Yahweh watched over our forefathers and kept them safe from sin that was Egypt.
So how are we meant to keep the night?
Many keep this night by having a huge meal, others have a foot-washing ritual. Some just skip it altogether. But these examples are all wrong. Let's look at the scripture Exodus 12, 41-43. What is the meaning of the word observance in these verses? The Hebrew word for observance is shemor. It is translated in Strong's number 8107 as observe from Shema. Strong's number 8104 translated means guard, protect, attend, beware, be circumspect, take heed, keep, mark, look narrowly, observe, preserve, regard, reserve, save, sure, wait, watch. There is also a reference to Shema. Strong's number 7763 meaning keeper. Nothing about a meal or washing of feet. The Torah has it as a night of watching. Exodus 12 verse 42, it was a night of watching unto the Lord, for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This same night is a night of watching unto the Lord for all the children of Israel throughout their generations.
So what are we to do? Just watch.
Just as Yahweh watched over his people all night, we are to stay awake one night.
Really? Why?
Allow me to try to explain. There are 2 points to note here. First, God watched over the Israelites as they left Egypt, all through the night to keep them safe. Secondly, the children of Israel were to keep a solemn observance for all the children of Israel throughout their generations and to make it a part of the Passover. Exodus 12:43. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover, no foreigner shall eat it. The Israelites left Egypt during the night portion of Abib 14th. Yes, they were probably euphoric and we should feel jubilant. But remember that it is also symbolic of leaving sin behind. Abib 14th also leads up to the Feast of Unleavened Bread, also symbolic of leaving sin behind. But we will talk about that soon.
So all we have to do is to stay awake for one night. That is not hard.
Yes. Let me give you a couple of scenarios to back it up. If you were admitted to hospital and are in intensive care and it's night, would you want the nurses to vigilantly observe you, to take heed, attend, and watch over you? Or would you want them to have a big meal, celebrate and then sleep?
No. I would want them to keep a close eye on me.
Exactly. Now imagine. It's the Middle Ages. You live in a castle. The king posts guards at night on top of watchtowers, in case of approaching danger. Their orders are to vigilantly observe, to take heed, attend, protect, guard and watch over the castle. Would you want them to have a big meal, celebrate and then sleep?
No way. Everyone in the castle would be relying on them to keep them safe.
Exactly. God is telling us to go one night each year without sleep, to remember that God watched over our people when they left Egypt, also to help us appreciate the struggle we have in fleeing from sin, and how we cannot achieve this without Yahweh.
So, just as sleep takes over us at night, that is how sin is. Often like sleep. Before you know it or even remember it, we sin.
Exactly.
Is there anything in the New Testament that backs this up?
Yes. Let us look at a few verses from the New Testament. Matthew 26 verse 17. Now on the first day of the feast of the unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yahshua, saying to him, "Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover?" Because it is a point of confusion. I should point out that in Matthew 26 verse 17, the words, day and feast of, are not in the original Greek text. And the word, on, is from the Greek word, protos, which can mean before. Therefore the verse should probably read something like, before the first day of the unleavened bread. So, the day before unleavened bread is the Passover. Then that night would have been the night to be much remembered. It goes on to say that they have the Passover meal. It is now night, and Yahshua and the apostles go to a place called Gethsemane, Matthew 26 verse 36. Then Yahshua came with them to a place called Gethsemane, and said to the disciples, "Sit here while I go and pray over there." Verse 37. And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and he began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed. Verse 38. Then he said to them, "My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me." Note that Yahshua says, "Stay here and watch with me." But, watch for what? Some say for soldiers. But Christ had no intention of running away or hiding. He knew they were coming, and when they did, he simply stood there and let it all happen. What is the key word here? It's the word watch. Strong's Concordance number 1127. Watch comes from the word greguo, meaning to keep awake, watch, be vigilant, wake.
So, by watching or staying awake, they were keeping the night to be much remembered.
Yes. Let us continue. Note what Christ said to the apostles when he found them sleeping. Matthew 26 verse 40. Then he came to the disciples and found them asleep, and said to Peter, "What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour?" Verse 41. Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. He doesn't say, "Hey, the soldiers could have come and taken me." Instead, he says, "Stay awake and pray in case sin overtakes you," referring to temptation and the weakness of the flesh.
Just like when the Israelites ran from sin all night and Yahweh watched, so that sin or Egypt did not overtake them.
Yes. That's good. As we stay awake and fight off sleep, it reminds us how if we are not vigilant we will grow tired and fall into temptation. Think how many people have grown tired of waiting for Christ to return, and forgotten the true way of a Christian. Lastly, let us look at Matthew 26 verse 45. Then he came to his disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners." So he had found them sleeping again. What does he tell them? He basically says, "See, you fell asleep, now sin is here."
So falling asleep on the night doesn't mean you are condemned. The whole exercise is to drum home by example how hard it is for us to overcome,
and how much we need Yahweh and Christ. Without them we are truly damned.
Yes. That is it exactly.
What will we talk about next time?
I would like to talk about the wave sheaf offering, an often left out step before the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
Okay. See you then.